Babies are supposed to be small enough so that their parents can easily care for them. Some babies, however, especially in the animal kingdom, are born so large it just kinda baffles our minds. And these are the babies that we're gonna be talking about today. From a small flying mammal that gives birth to a very large baby to a very surprising entry on number 1, so stay tuned for that. That said, here are the 10 biggest babies in the animal kingdom. Number 10. Bats. Bats come in many different sizes. Some small, others like the giant golden flying fox are extremely large. But no matter how large or small they are, all of them have something in common, and that's the size of their babies. The babies themselves are quite large relative to the size of their mother. Female bats will usually give birth to 1 or 2 large babies every year. These pups are born hairless, blind, and dependent on their mother to survive. An average-sized bat will give birth to young that measure around 2 inches in length and weigh only a few grams. Hold on though, you may scream at me, that's not large at all. Well, true, but that couple of inches actually is a quarter of the size of the mother. Given that the average height of an American female is around 5 feet 3 inches, that's actually equivalent to a woman giving birth to a baby almost 2 feet long. Honestly, just ask any mother. That would be one heck of a normal delivery. Also very painful. Number 9. Cows. Calves are similar to human babies in a couple of respects. First, calves weigh about 7% of their mother's weight, which is roughly the same proportion as a baby human to its own mother. For instance, a calf of a 1,300-pound heifer would usually weigh around 100 pounds at birth. Similarly, a 140-pound woman might give birth to a 9-pound baby. Secondly, at around 280 days, a cow's gestation period is very similar to that of humans. However, quite unlike helpless human babies, calves will stand and walk an hour after birth. They need to in order to suckle from its mother's teats. A calf will nurse from its mother for about 6 months. Cows are emotionally complex animals, and mothers and their babies have very close bonds. Females are also protective of their young and will chase away any threats. Real question though, why are calves on this list? Well, if you haven't seen a real-life calf before, you'll be surprised with how big they actually are. Number 8. Hippos. The hippopotamus is the second largest land animal, with adults ranging from 9.5 to 16.5 feet in length, and weighing up to 9,000 pounds. In fact, up to 9,900. Their name comes from the Greek term for river horse, which is fitting because the excellent swimmers spend 16 hours a day in the water and can hold their breath for 5 minutes. With that said, it only follows that hippo babies are humongous. A female hippo typically has 1 calf every 2 years and a gestation period of 9 to 11 months. They're so at home in the water that they even give birth while still submerged in it. That basically means their 50 to 120 pound, 4-foot-long calves have to swim to the surface to take their first breath. Pretty brutal if you ask me. Alright, actually, they don't really swim because that's a skill they have yet to learn. Rather, they just kinda push off at the bottom and float around in the water. Although they're also too heavy to actually float, but I'm not gonna get into that. This is just a fun fact video. With that said, here's also a fun fact. Since these animals spend a total of 16 hours a day in water, hippo calves actually have the ability to suckle underwater. They can close their ears and their nostrils and get food from mama without breathing in the water. Number 7. Giraffes. This should be very obvious from the get-go. Giraffes themselves are large animals that give birth to very large babies, but they make the list not because of their weight, as giraffe babies weigh only about 110 to 120 pounds, but also for their height. Newborn giraffe babies tower over the average man, measuring around 6.5 feet at birth. Not really surprising given that giraffes can be up to 20 feet tall, but still impressive. Now, being dropped on its head at birth is actually pretty normal for a baby giraffe, and that's because giraffe moms give birth standing up. That means a baby giraffe's first real-world experience is dropping over 6 feet from its mother's womb to the ground. Given how large the baby is, a drop from that height isn't so bad at all. In fact, not a lot of newborn fatalities are caused by this initial drop. Number 6. Horses. Like giraffes, horses make this list for their height, not their weight. But unlike giraffes, newborn foals don't have to face the danger of being dropped 6 feet right after birth. A foal is born with legs that are almost as long as an adult's. In fact, their legs are so long they may find it hard to reach the grass below to eat. If human babies were born that way, it's going to be like living on one episode of The Twilight Zone or something like that. Anywho, those long limbs combined with their smaller bodies weigh an average of 100 pounds, or approximately 10% of the weight of the mare. Foals reach their mature height quickly, and by 6 months, colts are more than 80% of their mature height, and by 2 years of age, they're almost the height of a fully grown horse. Mind you, that's around 58 to 63 inches. Most foals are born at night because the darkness provides protection from predators. Another adaptation for protection is that in just a few hours, a foal can stand and run alongside its mother. Feasting on her milk, it'll gain 3 pounds a day and it'll start eating solid food after only 10. Number 5. Beluga whales. Belugas are large marine mammals that measure between 11 and 15 feet in length and weigh up to 3,600 pounds. You can find these marine mammals in the frigid Arctic and subarctic waters of the northern hemisphere. Often surrounded by packs of ice and snowy habitats, their white coloration helps these creatures blend in and hide from their predators, which include polar bears, humans, and killer whales. As we've already demonstrated here on this video, large parents usually result into larger babies. A baby beluga is known as a calf, and at birth, calves measure between 4.5 and 5 feet long. And unlike their white-skinned parents, calves are usually born with gray or light brown skin, which fades to white as the baby matures into adulthood. Number 4. Rhinos. The average adult white rhinoceros is only slightly smaller than an average adult hippo, with some growing to 12 feet long and 6 feet tall. You think that's big? They can also weigh up to 8,000 pounds. These creatures are critically endangered, partially owing to the fact that rhino moms only give birth every 2.5 to 3 years. Their gestation period is pretty long as well, going on at 17 to 18 months, and when they do give birth, it's only to a single calf. One giant 130-pound calf that's almost a smaller version of its mother, except that it still has no horns. Yet. A calf can stand up soon after birth and will begin to eat grass and vegetation after a couple of months, though it will continue to rely on its mother for nourishment for at least 6 months. Doting rhino mothers care for their calves for 2.5 to 3 years before nudging them toward independence. But for those couple of years, a mother rhino will do anything to protect its calf, which is why a mother rhino is one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. Number 3. Blue whales. Of course, this one's a no-brainer. The largest living animal ever should produce the largest offspring on Earth. Adults can measure up to 100 feet long and weigh 200 tons. Now, while that fact is true based on sheer size, a blue whale calf is, in fact, not the largest animal to be born when compared to the size of its mother. Again, stay tuned till number 1. Anyway, very little is known about the reproduction habits of blue whales. What we do know is that they have a gestation period of approximately 1 year. At least that's what most experts believe. At birth, baby blue whale calves are about 23 to 27 feet long and weigh approximately 3 tons. At that size, calves have a lot of catching up to do in order to be as big as mom and dad. But don't worry, because they can actually do it in no time at all. The calves eat nothing but mother's fat-rich milk for the first 7 to 8 months of their lives, and during that time, calves gain about 200 pounds a day. Now it's time for today's best pick. And in today's pick, we answer the question, how big is the baby of the largest land animal on Earth? Find out the answer and more next. With that said, number 2. Elephants. African elephants are the largest land animal in the world, and at around 22 months, they also have the longest gestation period for any mammal. And with a gestation period that long from an animal that large, you better bet that they give birth to pretty massive babies. When calves finally greet the world, they weigh between 200 and 300 pounds and are about 3 feet tall. However, don't let their size fool you. Elephant calves are completely dependent on their mothers. They nurse exclusively for the first 4 months, but continue to nurse for up to 3 years after weaning. Luckily though, elephants live in a matriarchal society, and mamas have lots of help from other female relatives, who all pitch in with child rearing. Definitely a huge advantage when taking care of multiple 300-pound newborns. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Kiwi birds. So, what could be the largest animal baby on Earth that is relative to its mother's size? Well, I literally just mentioned it a few seconds ago, even if you don't believe it. It's the kiwi bird. Although kiwi chicks don't come close to the large mammal babies in size, they are notable for the size of their egg relative to the female's body size. This flightless bird lays an egg that weighs about 1 pound, or 20% of its body mass. And mind you, that's despite the humble kiwi being about the size of a chicken. One advantage of this oversized egg is that it contains almost 2/3 yolk, allowing the chicks to hatch looking just like an adult with a full set of feathers and providing enough sustenance for the chick to be independent immediately. Kiwis can only be found naturally in New Zealand, and is in fact the country's national bird. Which of these heavyweight babies did you like the most? Let us know down below in the comments. Also, make sure to check out the channel's other amazing videos. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.